But I knew that without Mr. Kuti's support, all of that could be taken away in an instant. The more I thought about it, the more I realized how much was at stake. I had finally found a bit of happiness, a bit of hope. I couldn't bear the thought of losing it all. I tried to imagine what my life would be like if Auntie Bimpe exposed me, being cast out, losing my education, and being thrown back into the darkness I had fought so hard to escape. In the end, I decided to do what Auntie Bimpe wanted. It wasn't an easy decision, and it didn't feel right, but I convinced myself that Mr. Kuti deserved to know the truth. If Mrs. Kuti was hiding such a big secret, then maybe exposing it would protect him and secure my future. I told myself that I was doing the right thing, that I was helping Mr. Kuti, but deep down, I knew I was also trying to save myself. The fear of losing everything was too strong, and it pushed me to make a choice I wasn't proud of. As I prepared to follow through with Auntie Bimpe's plan, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread that hung over me. I knew that what I was about to do could change everything, for Mr. Kuti, for his family, and for me. I just hoped that in the end, it would be worth it. That night, after the party was over and the guests had left, I found Mr. Kuti in his study. My heart pounded in my chest as I approached him. "Mr. Kuti," I said softly, my voice trembling, "can I speak with you privately?" He looked up at me with a gentle smile, not knowing the storm that was brewing inside me. "Of course, Tabitha," he replied, his tone kind and welcoming. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. I knew there was no turning back once I spoke the words. My entire future hung in the balance, and I could only hope that I was making the right choice. When we were alone in his study, my hands trembled as I stood before Mr. Kuti. The words I was about to say felt like they were stuck in my throat, but I knew I had to speak them. I couldn't keep this inside any longer. "Mr. Kuti," I began, my voice shaky, "there's something you need to know." He looked at me with a mixture of curiosity and worry. I could see he wasn't prepared for what was coming. "It's about Mrs. Kuti," I continued, struggling to find the right words. She's been seeing someone else. The daughter you love so much. She isn't yours." The words hung in the air like a heavy cloud. I saw the shock in his eyes, the way his face fell as the truth sank in. He didn't speak for what felt like an eternity. Then, slowly, tears began to fill his eyes. "Why are you telling me this, Tabitha?" he asked, his voice breaking. The pain in his voice was almost unbearable. I swallowed hard, knowing that I had to be completely honest. "Auntie Bimpe asked me to tell you," I admitted, "but not because she cares about you. She wants you for herself. She wants to destroy your family so she can take your wife's place. But I couldn't let that happen. I couldn't let someone as evil as Auntie Bimpe come between you and the people you love." Mr. Kuti looked at me, and I could see the betrayal and heartbreak in his eyes. It tore me apart to see him like that, but I knew I had to continue. "I'm telling you this because I believe you deserve to know the truth, even though it hurts. I couldn't keep this secret any longer." Finally, after what felt like hours, I felt the burden lift off my shoulders. For so long, I had been carrying the weight of secrets and lies, but now I had told the truth. However, there's still one thing left. I haven't still told him about my past life as a prostitute. Then, at that moment, I summoned the courage to finally tell him, knowing fully well that if that is out, I'll be totally free from Auntie Bimpe and never have to worry about her threat. anymore. But just as I was about to confess the part of my past that had been weighing on me the most, there was a sudden knock on the door. My heart skipped a beat, and I froze. The door creaked open, and there stood Mrs. Kuti. The tension in the room was palpable. Mrs. Kuti looked at both of us, sensing that something serious was going on. "Is everything okay?" she asked, her voice uncertain. Mr. Kuti's face hardened, and he looked away from me, anger and hurt clearly etched on his features. "We'll talk later," he said sharply, brushing past her as he left the room. He didn't look back. I was left standing there, my heart heavy with the secret I hadn't been able to reveal. The moment was gone, and I knew I had missed my chance. The truth I had been so close to sharing was still buried inside me, and I wasn't sure when or if I'd ever find the courage to bring it up again. As I stood there alone, I realized that the weight of my past was something I couldn't escape, no matter how much I tried. The secret was still mine to bear, and the uncertainty of what would happen next loomed over me like a dark cloud. The truth hadn't set me free, not yet at least, and I feared the consequences that would come when it finally did. The next morning, the house was unusually quiet. The air was thick with tension, and I knew that the moment I had dreaded was about to unfold. Mr. Kuti had barely spoken a word since my confession the night before, but I could see the determination in his eyes. He was going to confront his wife. I kept to myself, trying to stay out of sight, as Mr. Kuti called Mrs. Kuti into the living room. I could hear the tremor in his voice as he spoke, and my heart ached for him. "Is it true?" he asked, his voice filled with a mixture of pain and anger. "Is our daughter not mine?" Mrs. Kuti's face paled, and I could see the fear in her eyes. She stammered, trying to find the words to defend herself, but the truth was already out. She couldn't deny it. Slowly she nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Why?" Mr. Kuti's voice cracked, and I could feel his heart breaking from where I stood. "Why didn't you tell me? Why did you lie to me all these years?" Mrs. Kuti sobbed, trying to explain, but her words were lost in the weight of her betrayal. Mr. Kuti shook his head, the pain too much for him to bear. "I can't do this," he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. "Pack your things and leave. I can't have you here anymore." Mrs. Kuti pleaded with him, begging for another chance, but his mind was made up. He couldn't look at her the same way, couldn't live with the betrayal that had shattered his world. I watched from a distance as Mrs. Kuti packed her things, her sobs echoing through the house. Guilt gnawed at me. I had played a part in breaking up their family, and the weight of that responsibility was heavy on my heart. But I knew, deep down, that I had done the right thing. Mr. Kuti had given me a chance at a new life when I had nowhere else to turn. He had treated me with kindness and respect, something I hadn't known in so long. I couldn't let someone like Auntie Bimpe destroy his life and take advantage of his goodness. As Mrs. Kuti left the house, I felt a deep sadness, but also a sense of resolve. The truth had caused pain, but it had also brought a sense of clarity. Mr. Kuti deserved honesty, and now, despite the heartbreak, he had it. I knew the road ahead would be difficult for him, and I felt guilty for the role I had played. But I also knew that sometimes doing the right thing meant making hard choices, even when they hurt. Days passed after Mrs. Kuti left, and the atmosphere in the house was heavy with sadness. Mr. Kuti was quieter than usual, and I could see the pain in his eyes every time he looked at the empty spaces where his wife and daughter once were. But amidst all this, something else began to unfold.